So I keep seeing videos where people are like, "Oh, dude, I'm moving over to backend. Backend's way better. Backend's where it's at." I'm here to say front end is not that hard. Um, if you're not always already, watch this video at 2 times speed because I tend to talk pretty slowly. And yeah, I use this tool for my backend called Trigger.dev. I've talked about it in previous videos, but it's really nice because it lets you basically define your whole task. You don't have to worry about API route timeouts or things like idempotency or retries. It has features for all this stuff, so you can implement it super easily. And at the end of the day, you end up with this super nicely organized code. We have this section right here, and then we have this section, and it's really just not that bad, Um, or actually, no, I would say it's quite good, and it's TypeScript, so you get type checking. It's nice, right? It's nice. But what I will say is that front end's really not that bad either, For my new app, I've been honestly kind of procrastinating on a lot of the back end stuff because with front end, there's a couple of things. The first thing with front end that makes a big difference is that if you want to see a change, if you want to enact some difference, you see it instantly. This is one of the defining characteristics of basically an addiction, a punishment, or a reward. So it's the speed to result. So if you have a dog that's like shits in the house, if every time you had, if you have an electric collar on your dog and every time they are inside and they just start to just little bit of poop starts to come out, they get zapped, they're going to know exactly why that's happening because they'll do it 2 or 3 times and they'll be like, okay, this is bad. But then they go outside and they go to do it and they realize, oh, I can do it out here. And that feedback loop teaches them what to do and what not to do. But if you think about the way that a lot of, pets, the way it works normally is your dog might fucking shit in the corner or something, and you might not know, you realize a couple hours later, and you go, bad dog, what the hell, go outside. The dog is fucking retarded. Dogs are not bright. And so it's like, what did I do, man? I've just been chilling for the last 10 minutes. And it doesn't realize that you're punishing it for the shit. I mean, some people might argue, and sure, that has to work eventually, but it's much faster if you can have an instant feedback. And the same thing goes with reward, where it's like crack cocaine is far more addictive than actual cocaine. I'm gonna get flagged all over the place for this video, but crack cocaine doesn't actually have any extra ingredients. I believe it's like baking soda or something that you add to cocaine to make it combustible. And because you smoke crack cocaine, smoking goes into your lungs and it absorbs much faster than through your mucous membrane in your nose. And so, or in your sinus or whatever. And so, crack cocaine is much more addictive. It's like how vaping is much more addictive than, I don't know, nicotine pouches or something. So, the faster a result happens, the more enjoyable something is. And this brings me back to front end, where if I want to make a change, I can literally just go in and change a tiny bit of code. So let's go to my front end. And the funny thing is, I've started to just put off doing a lot of my back end stuff because it takes longer. And if I want to get feedback, it just takes more time. I gotta press start on some process. I gotta see how that works. I gotta test edge cases and think about edge cases. Whereas with front end, yeah, there's still edge cases, but you can test them instantly. A lot of the times the edge case is, okay, if I shrink the screen, how does that look? Obviously, this is not meant to be a mobile app, but you get the idea. So if we just go to, so if we're in the code for this and we say, you know what? I mean, I think this design's all right, but maybe it would be better if this was an outline, okay? And then we just go find that section, which I think is up here. So it's feature.type. And let's just make this, and it's also nice with cursor too, but that applies to backend as well. We'll say we'll get rid of this BG gray 100, and we'll just do border gray 200, and we'll come back, and boom, it's already updated. I mean, that doesn't look bad. That might look better. but it's instant. You know, you get instant feedback, especially if you have like a hot reload system going on, and it's just much more satisfying. You know, I find it to be more enjoyable to implement stuff on the front end, especially when it's like super simple stuff. And what you'll find is the more front end you do, you know, my first app, it was just all spaghetti code. It's all AI generated. Let me show you this. So I believe it's still open. So this is a page that look how fucking long this page is, dude. So we've got use client in here randomly. I mean, it's a client component. It has to be mounted because it's a map from what's it called, Mapbox. But then we're also using some API calls with a public API key, and yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of kind of slop. And you know, I wasn't super comfortable, and I barely built out any functionality because I was nervous. But with this app, I built out quite a lot of functionality here, and like it's it ends up like you just get better over time, and that probably sounds obvious, but with backend, you don't really. There's not a lot of like kind of, you know, jump in skill. I think you find different ways to design things, you know, your system. But even a different way of designing things is just a kind of a task. You know, it becomes a way of refactoring because at the end of the day, it's going to work. You know, maybe you need to speed it up or use less, you know, resources, but it still works, and so it's just more work refactoring it. But with front end, like every component or everything that you design is a new way to test your skills and to improve. And so you start out with super basic functionality like just building out different routes and stuff for the install process of this app with Stripe. And then you end up like building a form, and this isn't showing because I I don't subscribe. Or I haven't paid. And then actually no, I was gonna pay, but I like seeing the free version. Um, and then today I built out this notifications bar where I can push notifications to this, and then it'll show up in this little thing. And actually, you know what? This card isn't wide enough. Wait. Okay, so I just fixed that. So now the card is the same width as the button. Um, but yeah, I mean, you just like your skills just improve over time, and you can design better looking UIs. You can design, you know, smoother experiences, and it just ends up being more satisfying, I think, you know. Also, let me just say, I'm using Svelte in this project. Svelte is an absolute joy to work with. There's none of that use client, use server bullshit you get with Next. You just have a page.server and then a page, and you can do a layout.server, and it just makes sense. It's just simple and easy, and wherever you need to, you can just open a bracket and you can write this, I guess, Svelte code, because it's not actually JavaScript. But it's just nice, you know? And then it gets compiled down into a nice, succinct, you know, JavaScript file that runs, and your app is super light and fast. And so, yeah, I really enjoy using Svelte, and I think front end is actually quite fun. So, anyways, that's the video. Like and subscribe.